Hey everybody, this is Gail from Gail Francis Designs, and I was writing up a post about a shrug that I made that kind of went above and beyond all of the qualifications for a shrug, and the explanation got a bit convoluted, so I thought I would try to do a video post so that I could show you rather than tell you in great detail. I used two yarns for this project. The blue you see here, it's a teal. This is Hushabye. It's a Busy Bee yarn, which is the Hobby Lobby store brand. And then the purple you see is a chenille from Karen. It's called Jewel Box. It's a discontinued yarn, which is actually one of the reasons this project got so big, was because once I started using the purple yarn to fix a mistake I'd made, I decided just to see what I could do with all of that purple yarn. And so let me back up here and show you what I've done. Immediately I'm sure you'll notice the cut because my boobs are not subtle. And all of this purple started to correct a measurement mistake. I blew my measurements. Ooh, that's a flare. Hold on. Let me come back up. There we go. And, that'll work. I blew my measurements. It was about 2 inches too wide, and so it was just hanging off of me. And I started the shrug by just working in the round. I did my base chain, I joined, I did 2 rounds of single crochet, and then I started the pattern. I was turning each round, and I just kind of lost track of where I was and just kept going until I ran out of blue yarn. And so then I put it on, and it was falling off, and let me show you. This was the, I'm gonna back away again. This was the beginning of the fixes right here with this purple section. When I did the loop around the entire shrug, I decided to use part of it just to bring this closer together and sew it up, but give it kind of a funkier look as opposed to just, you know, a quick fix. And so that helped tighten the shrug up so that it fit properly and wasn't falling off. And then from there it just kind of exploded. This portion here, the winch portion as I'm calling it, I just kind of came up with because I still had yarn to use, and so I decided, well, I'll just work on the bottom half of the shrug, and I'll make these panels, and then I can just put them down here, and it can be a cute little sweater type thing. And then as I was doing that, I realized that, hold on, I gotta get my left from my right. There we go. I realized that right here I was actually having a pretty bad gape, and so there's a panel here that you can't quite see clearly, just in the corner. Let me see if I can get an angle on that. It's about right here. Let me turn this inside out. You may see it better that way. But what I did is I had to add this panel so that it would properly settle. It would lay correctly across. And let me come in closer. You can see this raised bit here, and there's a raised bit here. And that's the join for this extra panel that I kind of had to fudge my way in so that it would fit properly. And so I did all of this. I sewed on the buttons by hand. These are very cute. They're white. They've got kind of a glittery look to them. I got them at Hobby Lobby. And then just tonight, because I was noticing, because the very top of it when it was unbuttoned was kind of hanging weird, so I got a hook and eye closure at Joann's tonight, and there's the hook, yeah. And so I sewed that on about 20 minutes ago. And I'm actually going to switch the buttons on this, because I found some ones when I was at Joann's tonight that are a little funkier, and they match the teal in the main part of the shrug, and so I'm going to switch out buttons, and for a top button, rather than having a top button with a buttonhole, as the 2 bottom buttons do have the buttonholes, I'm just going to sew it on the top and keep the hook and eye and fake my way through that. And I wanted to show you this because I think it's really interesting that this started out with me saying I'm basically going to crochet a tube, because that at its base is what a shrug is. And I just kept adding, and I came out with something that I like. It's cute, and it's a little funky, and I want something very girly to wear underneath it, especially because, oh, I forgot this part, I ruffled my sleeves. And I did this portion first. Oh, sorry. You know what, we'll use this arm. This top portion here I did first, and I got this wave by doing It's a single crochet, a half double crochet, a double crochet, a triple crochet, a triple crochet, a double crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet, and that's what gave me the wave. And then for the bottom portion here, I actually crocheted in between the stitches, and then just quadruple crocheted around, and that's what makes those stitches stand up so well. And so then when you know, put it over, you've got this nice little ruffly cuff. And the collar is an accident because I just kept adding and adding and adding, so I ended up with a bit of a collar on it. But I really like this because it taught me quite a bit about construction that if I knew it, it was not a bad idea to be reminded of it. And one of the things about constructing anything, especially if you're a chesty LaRue like myself, is the fact that you've got to remember that your boobs get bigger. Because just the shrug, the way shrugs fall is they tuck under your arms, they don't get in your, they don't involve your bust, and so that's why they're such a quick project, is because you don't have to worry about the measurements. You don't have to worry that, it's going to stretch weird or it's not going to buckle. But as this kept growing, I kept having to basically fake a bust line for this thing and figure out how to bring it in and bring it out. And so there's actually quite a few increases and decreases in this project that you can't see, but that came in very handy. And like I said, this whole thing started because all I was trying to do was shrink it back down so it would fit. And so this planned one-night project was actually about a 3-day project, and I liked it. And that's the other thing. I've mentioned before, I don't work with patterns very often, and it's not that I have anything against patterns. There are some great patterns out there. It's the fact that I'll start on a pattern, and I'll kind of read through it, and I'll look at it, and I'll go, but what if I did this? And that leads to things like this, which are, I don't think I've seen a shrug pattern like this that has the, the separate pieces and the seaming, and, because there is quite a bit of seaming. It's not just where I had to correct the measurements. There's seaming to get that whole bottom part stay together, and let me come back down here. But I wanted to show this to you because the shrug is one of the really simpler projects I think a lot of people learn early, and they don't appreciate the finishing work that needs to go into it, that you need to consider very purposefully your measurements, and, pardon me, I'm looking for my measuring tape. Oh, there it is. You need to consider very seriously your measurements, and so let me show you the way I measure. Isn't it cute? You can get one at Joann's, they're like $3. Is I measure shoulder to shoulder, first of all. So, just shoulder to shoulder, and I'm 15 inches shoulder to shoulder. And then I measure the widest part of my arm, because that's the portion, that's the measurement that's going to matter the most. I'm slowly but surely getting into the habit of measuring up my arm and then making increases as I go up. It's what I do with, like, half skeins of stuff that I'm not going to use for anything else as I practice making sleeves to get used to working with the measurement. But I think I've kind of lost my thread, and I apologize, but the point is this. A lot of people make that shrug, and then they make 5 more shrugs that look just like it, and they're all very cute, but they all kind of have that slightly unfinished look. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that once you've made the tube, or once you've made the rectangle and sewed the tube, you think you're done. But there's so much more you can do with it, and you can build on it, put a little collar on it, put some ruffles on it, whatever floats your boat. Or if you just want that tube, that's a fine project, but I think a lot of people, because of the simplicity of the basic idea, forget that there's more that can be done. So that's kind of what happened with me, is when I realized I had to fix it, it kind of turned into a bigger project, which was more fun and produced something that I think is not more enjoyable, but definitely more me than just a plain teal shrug. So that's what I've got tonight, and I'm going to go and find a new project now.